Welcome back to the Dopest Show you won't get sick of. I'm Spencer. This is Sasha. I spent most of my 20s in federal prison, but have been off heroin since April 9, 2010. Got a lot of stories about the dumb stuff I did to get put in prison, the crazy stuff that happened while I was in prison, and God forbid you end up in prison. You don't have to make some of the same mistakes I made. So, there's this crazy dude. It's one of the funnier stories. It was literally that wild how often this guy got robbed. He got robbed every other Sunday, every other Wednesday. Okay, he made the money back. He'd hustle it. He'd make some money. Now, the first time I met him, I was selling dope, and the other guy, I was in this halfway house. I was the same type I was talking about yesterday, but it was at a different house. Same like group of houses, but this is a different time period. So, the guy who lives in the room next to me, the guy who's my roommate at that time, he's also passed away. He OD'd. And actually, the guy who is the subject of this story, he's passed away. They both overdosed. But the guy who lived in the next room was 30, hanging out with us 18-year-olds, and we had this connection. It was his boss, who was a manager at this, I'm not going to say the name of the place, but he had this red Dodge Charger with this set of $16,000 rims. That's when you know people are making too much money. They just buy something that's stupid. $16,000 for a set of rims. And only like it's supposed to be so a handful of them, some type. But it did look good though. But anyway, the guy who I'm talking about, who we went to get this stuff from, got 4 years in federal prison, and he was selling. Oh my God, he was selling. I can't even tell you how much he was selling. Guess how much his number one dealer got? His number one dealer got 23 years. 23 years his number one dealer got, and I can't imagine he was selling anything more than a quarter of what he was selling altogether, because I know how much we were selling, and I'm pretty sure I know how much he was too. 23 years is what he ended up getting. But the main guy, the dealer, got 4 years. Oh, it's a shame. For me, I got 8 years for what I got 8 years for. So, anyway, me and the guy who was in the room next, we're driving and we're supposed to meet this guy who we got linked up with, who's wanting to buy a good bit. We don't know how much exactly he's going to want. We meet him. We've never met him before. He's never seen us before. He ends up giving us $6,000. We start driving away, and the guy who, he's like, dude, we should take off on this guy. We don't know him. We won't see him again. I said, if he gave you $6,000 today, how much you think he's going to give you in a couple more days? The same thing. You can continue making money over time, or you can rob this guy once and be looking over your shoulder. I didn't like doing stuff like that. That wasn't something I did. The only people I ever robbed were drug dealers that did people wrong. That's the only thing I done. Took one of the worst beatings I took in my life after robbing these 3 drug dealers to where they were broke. They were having to sell nickels and dimes to get back up. I'd hit them right after they read up. But anyway, that's a separate story. So we end up going, and we take it back. And we take it back to this McDonald's, and we give it to him. We got $6,000 worth of H, okay, that we're giving him. He asks us, he's like getting teary-eyed, and he asks us, could we drive it back to his house, that he would follow us. And we were like, I don't know, man. You need to just go on and take this. He started crying. Like, he started for real crying. Like, he started crying tears out of his eyes. Because his car that he had didn't have headlights. His car he had didn't have headlights. So I'm like, shoot, man. I told my buddy who we went with to go get it for him. I said, man, listen. Because we thought he might have been trying to set us up, like, to get us arrested. I said, dude, if they're getting us arrested, they'd have gone ahead and done it already. I think this is just an idiot. And we followed him back, gave it to him, and he's like, oh, thank you so much, man. I swear on everything, it wasn't like a day later. It was either a day or 2 days later. He wanted the same amount. Same car. He started crying again. And we had to follow him back to his house and give it to him again, but he cried. He was, I shouldn't say, I was practically the same age as him, but, we were young. We're practically kids, He's built like a kid. He's about 5'10", 120 pounds. And, he did more than anybody I've ever seen. Like, he was doing upwards, and this was back before fentanyl stuff was put into this stuff, so people got higher up on these things, and he was doing anywhere between 30 to 40 a day, every day. He weighed 120, 130 pounds at 5'10" and was doing 40. He put 8 in a spoon, did it up. there was a guy who came over to buy it from him, and he saw him put 8, so he puts him, I think 3 inside of, and he says, "Dude, you don't want to do that much." He said, "You just did that." And he's like, "But dude, I've got a tolerance." The same dude who was like a 200 plus pound man fell out from doing like 2 or 3 of what he was doing 8 of, and this was a seasoned addict. So this young kid had a tolerance that was built up that high. I'm telling you, like, you have not seen somebody do this much. Like, I got way up there, but this guy, he did more than anybody I've seen ever do. That's why he ain't with us anymore. That's why he's passed away. He's always pushing the limit. But back then, there wasn't the stuff that they're mixing in this stuff now. There wasn't all this extra stuff. It was just what it was. So people could get, you still didn't know exactly what you were doing, but it wasn't like today. And you know. But anyway, he get robbed every other week. So he's making so much money, he actually rented this place. He rented this mechanic shop. Nobody ever came to that place to get a car. There wasn't anybody that worked in that place. He used it as a place to sell dope at. So let me tell you about one of the times that he got robbed. And he got his money back. He called the police. Go figure. Yeah, that's the type of stuff, you know, goes on around where I live. He lives in this little, it's like this little, oh man, it's like a 400 or 500 square foot like little house. It's got got 2 separate, it's like split into 2 separate doors, 2 separate living units, but it's like tiny, okay? And it's not in a good area. What's amazing is South Roanoke, right where the rich people live, the $1 million houses are at, there's a hospital, Carilion Hospital. On the other side of it, that's where the white ghetto starts, and it was over there, okay? So a quarter mile from $1 million houses, you got like the craziest bunch you've ever seen. So he's asleep, and he ended up in jail, and he told me this story. He had an air conditioning window in his unit. He woke up with somebody standing over top of him in his bed with a gun in his face and robbed him for his money. They just robbed him for the money, and then they took off. Well, when they took off, he called the police. They caught the guy, brought him his money back. Go figure. I mean, anyway, yeah. The other time was one of the most, I mean, there were more times, and actually his death does have some questions surrounding it, because there was an issue with him taking a beating, and they're not sure if it was that or if it was actually an overdose. He had a traumatic thing happen, but there was another time he had a gigantic flat screen TV. Okay, this is back like when flat screens were really just starting to take off more. Big flat screen TV. Okay, I can't remember what game system was out of. It must have been PlayStation 3, I guess. PlayStation 3 sounds right. Sounds like what was out then. Anyway, he's got this big TV, and like I said, he does more drugs than anybody I've ever seen in terms of how much he shoots up. He doesn't weigh anything. You would not believe this person could do this, but he did. And there are hundreds of people who know because they've seen him do it. You would not believe the amount of stuff this guy's pumping, but he stayed messed up all the day. To get a tolerance that high, he had to be messed up all the time. So this was the funniest robbery I ever heard about him. He got messed up. He nodded out, fell out in front of his giant TV at this PlayStation 3. Okay? He would be knocked out, nodded out, okay, all the way out. He woke up, his back door was open, the air conditioner once again was pushed in, and his TV and PlayStation were gone. You know Beavis and Butthead, when their TV stole or whatever, and they're like trying, I just figured something out. This sucks. It was like that. It was literally like that. I mean, but he was so messed up all the time, and he wasn't a threat. I mean, physically he couldn't do anything. I mean, he cried because he was worried about getting caught on the way home because he didn't have headlights. I mean, he wasn't a tough guy, but he networked and he hustled and he made it. Anything he got robbed for, he made back the next week. But he dealt with everybody. That was one of the dangers of dealing with everybody. And you know, I didn't. You know, anybody that I had to have a weapon for to deal with was somebody who I did not deal with. Think about that. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, when you really look down at it, my whole goal, at which I lost my 20s to federal prison. I'm not advocating this stuff, but the goal of it was to make money with the least amount of risk. So what am I going to do staying in the ghetto with a piece, you know, making selling nickels and dimes, when I could be over at college with people that have money sent from mom and dad that, you know, are using it on the weekend, keep it straight during the week, so you don't have to worry about them going out stealing something, getting arrested for it, and trying to turn you in for being a dealer so that then they can get off of a grand larceny charge. It made more sense. I mean, it was just common sense to me, but he dealt with everybody in the white ghetto. Oh Lord, it was absurd, the traffic this guy had. And the next time I saw him, I'd been in jail for a little bit. My roommate was a dude who went by Snooky, light-skinned black dude, funny dude. Oh Lord, he it's like his little catchline. He'd say, "They call me Snooky. I'm not a rookie." It's just corny, but I mean, we got along. He's a funny dude. I'm sitting in the room, and I kind of got a little bit with the whole jail thing, you know, about the rules of it and all that stupid stuff. And I'm sitting there in my cell, and you don't look in somebody's cell. Like, it's like if I were to go up to your house and look through your window. That's like what it is like if you look in somebody's cell when you walk by. It's like a no-no. So there's this guy who walks in, and he looks like Justin Bieber. Oh, man, he looks just, I mean, he's got the hair. And I'm like, man, that guy was looking at me crazy. He said, well, go talk, say something. And I went and go say something to him, and I'm, you know, and Snooky came. He was getting a laugh off of it. And I said, hey. And he's like, hey, Spencer. I said, I've never seen you without a hat on. He had a lot of hair, but it was always pulled back, so it came at the back with the ball cap on. I'd never seen him without a cap on. And I talked to him in there. Now, that time when I was in jail was when I decided I wanted to train martial arts when I got out. I realized I didn't like the way I was living. He didn't realize that. So you know what he did? He networked. He made friends with a dude who went by Murder. Murder was a little guy who sold a whole lot of H, who ended up getting caught with a little bit, but he sold a whole lot. He was going down and getting a quarter of a kilo at a time, bringing it back. Everybody knew about Murder. They knew about him from his car, drove Jaguar. They knew about him from reputation. He was a little guy, a little black guy. Him and this guy I'm talking about, everywhere they in the jail, plotting, scheming, and guess what? I don't know where Murder. He's probably back in prison, but the guy I'm talking about, it's a shame he's passed away. He got up to 170 pounds in jail, worked out, push-ups, pull-ups, was fit. He looked healthy, looked really healthy. I mean, he looked like a normal kid. Man, the next time I saw him was at drug court probation. Looked like he went back to his nickname again, Skeletor. People call him Skeletor because he literally, he would get down to 120, 130 pounds. I mean, he was just a rack of bones. It was pitiful. Arms bruised all up. Have a dot. He just tried to hit it all the way up when he couldn't hit it. It's terrible to watch. Got many more stories about him, you know, I'll go into on another time, but decent little introduction to him. If y'all liked the video, if you think I earned it, if you watched it this far, to this point, please press the like button. Only if you liked it, though. If not, that is 14 minutes and 4 seconds of your life that is gone. I'm running on fumes. I have insomnia. I have been up since 2 o'clock this morning. I laid in bed for an hour and a half. This happens sometimes. In the comment section, I respond to at least 200 or better comments a day. Usually in-depth, but addiction, whatever. You know, I pride myself on doing that. I'm going to continue to do that. But sorry, I've been a little bit slow on the last comment section. I'm running on fumes. I still went to judo this morning. Yep, still trained. Had to do that. You know, got a good bunch of people there. We got this baby-faced assassin kid. Man, that kid is a killer. He's 210 pounds, bench over 400, and squat over 600. Second at nationals only because he didn't hear his name get called, so they counted that as a loss. Also state champion wrestler. And Tarek, the coach, Olympian from Egypt. Oh man, he's like if you wrote a character about an assassin out of a book and brought him to life, that'd be Tarek. And he's like been an incredible person. I mean, a lot of the reason way I am matured and everything from what I used to be, he's hugely to thank, hugely to credit. I owe that man more than I can ever say. But anyway, if you liked it, press the like button. Y'all have a good one.